Well, ladies and gentlemen, we made it to 80. May we get to 80,000 more, but ego stroking aside, we need to talk about Star Wars. Today's video will not be focusing on the garbage Disney sequel trilogy, or anything on Disney+. Ahsoka! But it will instead be a look at the road not taken, what might have been in an alternative universe where competency reigned, instead of whatever this is. First off, I would like to put a bit of a disclaimer here. I am not the biggest lore nut on this franchise. Many people are far more knowledgeable than I am. However, I do like the prequels and OT quite a bit, and I have nothing but respect for the amount of work that was put into creating the expanded universe. So, with that out of the way, what should have been done? Well, most people would push for adapting the Heir to the Empire books, and while that is an amazing idea, everyone and their dog has done it. So, let's do something a little bit different first. Hey, put those knives away for a second. Let me explain my reasoning. The original trilogy has an genius ending for the series. It's final enough to give closure, while leaving the door cracked for future entries should you so desire. Instead of advancing the timeline like an Heir to the Empire, what if, and hear me out here, we instead go back? The great thing about Star Wars is that you have 30 years worth of source material to pull from. Adapting any of the old books from the expanded universe would have given us a far better story than anything we got in the sequel trilogy. Star Wars was, at one point, a multimedia empire. Games, books, movies, heck, even quite a few decent comics. In other words, you have a massive creative sandbox. Use it. You have an entire galaxy. Make a TV show about a Mandalorian bounty hunter that actually does bounty hunting instead of being a babysitter for the whole show. That the Knights of the Old Republic game was pretty lit, adapt that. Make a heist movie or two. If Dungeons & Dragons could do it and make money, so could Star Wars. And pump out an animated TV show or 20. The appeal was there before the dark times, and after you milked the franchise for about 5 years, you released the first film in your film adaptation of The Heir to the Empire, as a trilogy, of course. Once the first film sells out like an AIDS cure in San Francisco, you wait 3 years before releasing the sequel. All the while making more of the derivative fluff that everyone likes. Merchandising! Star Wars the video game, Star Wars the comics, Star Wars the TV show, Star Wars the horror movies. Heck, you can even make a Star Wars film noir. You can jump all over the timeline, visiting interesting characters and Star Wars in your Star Wars. And as long as all of this is done with a decent level of competency, you could print money like Germany in the 1930s. Once you've finished out the Heir to the Empire book adaptations, you could do the Yuuzhan Vong Wars. These guys have always reminded me of the Tyranids from Warhammer, and fun fact, everyone and their dog was jumping on the biotech ship back in the 90s. Advancing the plot while making all the other projects would be a lot of work, and you would need a decent continuity editor, but in the right hands, it could be done. The greatest tragedy of Star Wars, in my opinion, is that it has so much wasted potential. Disney was given the key to a multimedia empire that could have kept the House of Mouse in cash for a century. Instead, they chose to give it over to a bitter old hag raven who hated her boss. But I'd like to hear what you all think down below. This has been Pete, the Heretical Nerd, signing off.